I don't think I messed anything up this time. Welcome back, episode 2. Sorry for running late. Zersosa was a little late at work. He said originally 10:15, and then all of a sudden it was 10:30, and then all of a sudden it was 10:40, and then
I
showed
never
up
said
at
10:15, buddy.
10:45. You did say
Never
This
said
guy.
10:15.
10:15, buddy. Did
Well,
I?
yeah,
Just throwing you under the
I
bus.
can pull up the receipts. That's
Oh,
okay.
it's all good. I'm here now. That's all that matters.
Yeah, you are here, and we are now live with Yeti, uh, winner of closed quals, last chance qualifiers, and going to invite for the second straight year. How are you doing today? How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm living life.
It's fantastic. I have a couple questions. As I'm sure everyone else does. I gotta say, you guys were definitely an up and down team, but you are new to SSG, and ever since you have come into that team, it's definitely been, I guess, new life for a roster that was, I guess, struggling for a little bit. So, my main question is one that I've been excited to ask: what have you necessarily came in to provide to the team that's been such a spark? Like, do you feel because you came into that team and it was just provide a spark? They made the major again. You guys did pretty well at the major, and now won, close quals to get to invite. So, what have you necessarily brought to the table, I guess, as a new teammate for them?
I think the biggest thing I brought was honestly just kind of like a. There's always a breath of fresh air with anytime you get a new player because everyone's always excited for what could be potential of what that roster can do and whatnot. And I think with their last environment, it wasn't a very good one, so it was kind of draining. Just scrim every day and prepare for matches and stuff. It got to the point where personalities were kind of hard to do. So then me coming into the team, I'm a pretty energetic guy, very competitive, and I think people can kind of pick up on that. So I think that's the biggest thing I brought. It's not like I'm some like I'm a good player, but I'm not like some super insane player that comes in like teaches everyone how to play the game. Like these guys already knew how to play the game. They were already good at the game, and they were putting a lot of work into like kind of find a balance between the way they wanted to play the game and the current meta. And for me, it was just like coming in, adapting and kind of easing my way into that, and figuring a way to be a part of that. But yeah, I would just say like honestly, just vibes and just kind of like I said, a breath of fresh air and just trying to create like a contribute to a positive environment. I would say.
Yeah, listening to Bosco's clip, it looked like you guys were having a great time.
Oh, it's a lot of fun when he's doing that.
Yeah, it was actually nice to see that. It felt like, I'm not going to say certain players were struggling. It just looked like, these guys were world champions, like NAL champions. So like, it was tough to see for a while the team not necessarily performing, but then all of a sudden, just a new life, I guess, came, and everyone's starting to play the way that like we've grown up watching. I guess like seeing these guys play for the last 5 years, and you guys definitely played really well. For me, another question is you guys, I guess, in my opinion, came out a little slow. What did you guys do? Like where you came out slow the first day and then the second day, y'all were rocking. So what did you guys do differently the second day as opposed to the first day to just have that much, sparkier of a start?
I think it's really kind of hard to attribute a slow start to one thing, but I would say it's been a little while since you played a match. The last time we played a match was at Jokoping, and there's a nice little break between that and now. About 2 months, 2.5 months. So when you're just scrimming every day and you're not really playing matches, and then come to that final moment where all you've been working for leads up to this moment. There's no more tomorrow. There's no more next week. It's now. It's time. The time is now to execute and be dominant and not. And it's like everyone else in that qualifier has the same mentality. So it's like we had a slow start. I think it was kind of maybe like just first day jitters, us just not playing as well as we could have been. Because on this team, it's like teamwork is very like emphasized on more than any other team I've been on. That's a good thing. But if you come into that day playing a little bit more individualistic, across the whole board, all of us, like we're going to be on the back foot, and that's just how it was. And then after we lost RTV, we played a pretty good Mirage team, and then beat them off the skin of our teeth, and that felt really good because it's a sigh of relief. Like okay, we have a chance, and that's all you need. All you need is a chance. Uh, Getting 2-0 is the only thing that puts the nail in the coffin, really. Avoiding that was a sigh of relief, and it just like we were pissed off because we knew we could play better, and everyone went to bed, and there was just a different energy in the morning. Like people were ready to rip people's heads off.
Yeah, Zers, I think it's the lighting, brother. I think it's the lighting. But yeah, I mean, we talked about it right when you got in. The format. You said you loved it. I personally, I went on Twitter and I said I hated it because you guys responded to it great. RTV did not. So, and I mean, it's also kind of the same thing. I think it was the other thing too with TSM and Mirage were kind of the same way, where you guys, fresh off a series, while Mirage were sitting there for 3 hours watching your series as well. But I mean, I kind of already got your answer, but since we're now live and the stream can go on, what were your thoughts on basically just 6 maps straight, just of straight quals on that day one?
I do think it's a slight advantage to actually be able to play series. Like you said, you definitely come into it one. Definitely, like you take our first map versus TSM. Those guys were obviously cold, hot, but like at the end of the day, like I think that we probably still would have won that map because how good we were playing. But like we were capitalizing on every. They just could not find it around. But kind of goes both ways too. It's just like it's what kind of it is what it is, and it's look at it and you have to figure out like how you can go about it to avoid that. Like if you know you're gonna be cold because you've been sitting there for an hour or whatever, like stay warm. If you have to play a T hunt, every 5 minutes or something, or just do whatever you gotta do instead of just sitting there roasting, that would be pretty advantageous.
I feel like
But
I've been talking for a while, guys.
I
Sorry,
was
I
waiting
didn't
for
interrupt
you
you,
to
but
finish your.
no, like I got questions, but I kind of want to
Yeah,
like ping pong and
we're on a
stuff. Like,
roll, buddy.
All right.
I was just
We're
in
on
my
a roll.
voice. I'm starting to get tired of
I'm
hearing
ready.
myself talk. Like,
Joe's on a
Alright.
roll right now. Keep going.
All right, shut the hell up, Joe. I'll start asking questions. So Yeti, obviously moving on to SSG, what was the biggest differences between the system with Sonics and now working with SSG?
Sonics is a very individual. Teamwork is there, but it's not like forced or emphasized as nearly as much here. I think it's like you go with the game plan, you have a job, do your job. That's Sonics. With SSG, it's like looked at it in a greater scheme, and it comes down to a lot more like micro engagement between your teammates and opponents. We try to avoid taking ones with people if we can like avoid it, like setting ourselves up to be in trade positions or like things like that, and like you don't focus on those little things directly, but by hounding on like after scrims and debrief, like okay, you could have talked to this person here, because he was there and you were here, and the enemy you too. And just constantly being told you could do this, you could do that, you could do this, you could do that. It kind of gets nailed into your head to the point where like you start doing it, and when everyone starts, we don't feel like we can. It's just
Yeah.
it's hard to keep the consistency and like start of a series. But that's the biggest difference in my opinion.
Yeah, and I definitely noticed with between the first day and the second day, especially against RTV, it seemed like you said, you guys were kind of cold. There was some individualistic stuff going on, and that's where RTV really thrived because those guys are young players. They're gonna take those gunfights, and 9 times out of 10, if it's a straight up 1v1, like they're gonna win it. And then day two, you know, if I recall, really the only times you guys would consistently take ones is if like Fultz had a drone like 3 inches in front of him that was calling for him. So that was really cool to see. And speaking of the reality TV match moving into TSM, I mean, Bank was that was one of the craziest turnarounds I've ever seen from like one style of play to the other. Like, did you guys expect to play Bank in both series, and that's why you played it so drastically different, or was that just on the fly?
I think everyone in the NAL and like if they actually pay attention to our matches at a major, like they should know by now that it's a pretty good map for us, and we're pretty good at that map just from simple VOD review. And like TSM had a really big advantage being winners bracket grand final dropping else by being able to map before we even had a chance to ban.
Yeah.
Why didn't they pick Villa?
yeah,
I don't know
Why did
either
they
because
pick
we
Bank?
saw
we talked about that, Harrison. I
yeah,
remember we
because we
talked
saw,
about it.
bro. I was talking about it with the production guys. We were like, okay, TSM is gonna pick Bank. I mean, I guess yeah, they just saw it be played, but like you guys also had time to VOD review their Bank from yesterday that they played against Mirage and stuff like that. And I mean, the turnaround from playing against RTV with the castle ban and playing not necessarily like passive, but I think it was at least from a casting standpoint, a viewer standpoint, it looked more like kind of fall off heavy. You guys were definitely leaning on like the smoke, Echo, Goyo, stuff like that on site, and then against TSM, I mean that was. I feel like that was one of the more aggressive games I've seen you guys play. Like, because typically with the SSG roams and stuff, classically it's like play for drones, time, fall off, blah blah blah. But you guys were sticking those positions, and it seemed like TSM just couldn't get in.
Yeah. The ban's definitely changed the way that map was played for sure. The castle ban on a map like Bank Castle's got a pretty high pick rate. I think it's like in the I want 40% castle being
Yeah,
played
that's
on
high.
and that's pretty high for an op like that means playing
Yeah.
2 sites out of the 3, 4 if you play 4. So that op being gone definitely made that map feel. In my opinion, the RTV game should have been like more fast paced because of the castle ban. But in reality, like the TSM game, I feel like they struggled on defense because they didn't have any info. Like those guys were really thriving it, and they banned Valk,
Yeah.
like banned Valk, or like trying to ban Echo and just cancel out all the info. And like in the moment, we said, "Fuck it, let's do it," and it like really kind of worked out. Like those guys didn't really have much of a guide to get aggressive on defense. I liked. And then for their attack rounds, they just didn't change it. They've been doing the same stuff for like we played them stage 3 on Bank for the last match of the stage. Exact same shit. Like literally, like bar for bar, flow for flow, exact same shit.
Wow, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then winning invite calls now this dominantly, and then going from Yanshiping, where you guys unfortunately got grouped based off of what was it? Based off of like round differential
Yeah,
against
so we needed a 7-3.
something like
minimum.
that. Yeah, against Chiefs or whoever it was.
Yeah,
Fury.
yeah.
That's what it was.
Game
And
up real
then
short.
BDS, right? BDS they took 5 rounds, I think, when you needed them to. It needed to be like a 7, also like a 7-3
Yeah, it was like
or
they
less
had
or
to score
whatever.
the same. Yeah, they needed to score low in order for us to be able to score higher.
Yeah. And then, going from Yeonjaping, where you guys unfortunately got grouped, and now heading into SI, an even bigger international tournament. What do you think the biggest struggles were in international play there, especially against, like W7M? And what are you guys bringing into SI?
Honestly, I just don't think we were like near. What's the word I'm looking for? We're much more unified now in play style and like identity. I think coming off of stage 3 in the L, I feel like we were playing on a much more individually. Borders kind of like popped off. We were winning games. If people who were hot at that time were popping off, games probably went our way. And then, I was riding a high because I just joined SSG. Fultz popped off for that stage. We go to Yonkaping, and I just didn't. Everything's in hindsight because I'm looking at it from where I'm at now. And where we're at now, it's like the way we play, like when we're on. So we always say this. When we're on, we're nasty. We're like a lube machine. People can't kill one of us without getting killed back, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas in Yonkaping, like we were taking just a lot of individual gunfights, a lot of individual plays that couldn't be like helped on or capitalized on by other teams. And I think that also the best of one system is very unforgiving, even on the main stage. Like even though we play the opponent twice, which is I think is a healthy balance to that, system. It's still really hard. It's still really hard to okay, load into the one map. You got 12 rounds to just duke it out. It's like you're starting off slow and you lose 2-3 rounds slow. That could cost you. It'll cost you more times than.
Yeah.
I said, do you think
you
that'd be
think-
better if it was a best of 2?
Yeah, or that's a 2.
Well,
I like the best
play them
system
right
of
next to
one.
each other, so like the map bands work out a little differently.
No, right.
I personally would like that, yeah. But it's I don't know why they don't do that. But yeah, I personally would like that. You play the opponent twice that same day. That would make that'd be nice. The players' jobs and staff's jobs a lot easier.
Yeah,
Also,
scheduling always
probably,
looks a bit weird. I mean,
probably give us a
when it comes
better
to majors.
variation in terms of map selection too.
They do that too to like cater to viewerships. So like NA, like when we're in Yonkaping, we'll play later in the day. So that way Americans will be awake in the morning to watch the game. And same with Europeans, it's that schedule. Apex is the same thing. They'll usually play early in the morning so that their fan base can watch the game. It just helps viewership. So I know
That
that's
makes more
why it's
sense.
sculpted out like.
Yeah, I mean, I see someone in chat said BO3s for groups. I think that'd just be way too much.
That would be impossible.
Especially if games
That would
start going
be
like 3
impossible.
maps, like that just there's too many teams at majors. Like they just wouldn't be able to. They'd have to have like a whole week of group stage instead of like the 3 days that it is now.
No, man, they did it at SI. SI was the best of stage. You had 4 days. You played one opponent each day, best of 3. It's one more day of group stages.
I mean, I don't know why they
Oh,
ditched
you're
that
right.
as
It
well.
was. You're
Well,
right.
the
It
reason
was.
they do it is to make like invite more of like a celebratory thing. It's like
Yeah.
it's of higher quality than a major, and that's how they. I feel like that's one of the ways they do it. Best of 3s are by
Yeah.
far so much more enjoyable to watch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Every single.
like
Oh,
watching a team
yeah.
duke it out. It's way more fun to play. It's way more fun to be like watch. Like playing in a best of 3 is honestly the best. In my opinion, the only real way like to determine like better
Team, yeah.
in Siege.
Hmm.
Each team gets a map. You steal that map. You do whatever. Like I love the idea of like map bans and just like the prep that goes into it. Just chef's kiss.
Well, I was actually wondering, regarding your invite quals, you lost RTV on the first day, right? Which it was, I don't know. I watched the game and you guys looked fine, but I don't know. What do you think was the biggest factor when it came to the first game and adapting to the second game, where you obviously ended up winning? For some reason though, you guys looked a little bit. Was it you guys just looking off, or what was up with that first day?
Yeah, I'd say we just had a really slow start on our against RTV the first day. We picked Burr and we got 7-3. That was our map pick. We started slow on our.
Yeah.
If we won our map, I think we would have 2-0'd them. So, and like everyone saw the next day what we could do on our border. 7-3 them back, and we really didn't like do too much different stuff like fault stuff. And we just smoked them. So I think that's kind of what went to it. Just had a slow start, lost to RTV, and then you go into a Mirage match where it's just like, pressure's high because done.
It's good to hear. I mean, actually, I had a question about that that first border map. Or RTV has actually been running those like same strats on border for I think the last 9 months, and it looked like on a few of the attacks, you guys were kind of like either caught off guard. I knew you guys had a idea of what to do early round, but it looked late round. You guys, I don't know, it looked a little bit weird, at least on border, because I know for a fact RTV has been playing the same kind of way. So, did you guys go into the map with a certain idea? Of like, all right, these guys have been doing this for a certain amount of time. We should know how to counter it. And like, what do you think fell apart sort of on border?
I mean, we just played the mid rounds really bad, to be honest with you. Like, it had nothing to do with strats or counter strats. And the thing with counter strats too is like you can do a lot of prep on a team, but like you can't emulate what it feels like to be pressured by. If they do the same attack, you watch it on. Oh, they're just gonna do this, and then you're in a game and they start opening up a bunch of shit around you, and you're trying to figure out what the hell they're doing. Because like, sure, on paper, like you see what they're doing, but like there's other avenues. Like just because like
Right.
everyone has an end, but like how they get to that end goal will change.
Yeah.
And no
Correct,
matter
yeah.
prep will change it for that, and you have to be dialed on everything, regardless of what you know they do or what. But
Makes
for
sense.
that map, mid round, we weren't talking enough in the mid round. We weren't working mid round. Like people were getting caught off and surprised a lot, like you said. And they were doing some weird stuff. To be fair, like you got a Glaz vault in the yard.
Yeah,
3,
that
so,
was insane, bro. That was insane.
yeah, just stuff like that. Like it's some stuff you just it's just siege. That's the best way to put it. It's just like sometimes you're the nail, sometimes you're.
I mean, shoot, that's the best part of the game, though. Like that's the reason everyone loves
Yeah,
the game.
one
right?
punch hole can change the course of a round.
Yeah.
You can't win a game by preparing for a team, right? You have to be able to think on your toes. That's actually legit the best part about Siege.
There's just
Yeah,
so many
it
things that
definitely
can
helps.
happen.
Another thing I actually want to ask, back to like sort of formatting. I know we talked about the major. The BO5 final for invite quals is something we didn't get to see.
Yep.
We got to see a BO3 against TSM, and obviously you're probably going to be fine with it because you ended up winning. But what are your thoughts on sort of a BO3 instead of a BO5, especially in that kind of circumstance where you're going to either go to invite or go home?
I'm indifferent, honestly. I think best of fives are hard, especially in like. I'll be honest, that shit would have sucked playing a best of 5 after playing a whole ass
Yeah.
best of.
Right, exactly.
That stuff would have horrendous. So I would honestly I'd prefer a best of 3, considering we're playing 2 best of 3s a day.
Mhm.
And then I don't know. I still thought the winner had a pretty. I mean, in my opinion, the winner had a crazy advantage. Was better than having a 1 map advantage for best of 5. Like to me, like being able to pick whatever map you want is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they blundered that, huh? They blundered that, huh?
Yeah, they did. You know, that's just. I mean, we played it 3 times to be fair. So I mean, I I get it. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you think you see what they're doing, and like literally talking about that prep. You think you see something, and like you think you got this, and you get in there, you get smoked. That happened to us twice against W7M. We're watching their border. Oh, these guys don't do shit. They do shit.
Yeah.
It's very
Um, another quick question actually about that final. I watched the first 6 rounds actually of Chalet. I was at work, so I watched the first 6 rounds on break. I'm like, oh, TSM's up 4-2 on Chalet defense. You're going to attack on Chalet, which many people regard as like an attacker-sided map, and you guys somehow pull out 5 straight defenses and send them home. When
6.
again, was it 6?
Wait, no, you're right. 5.
Okay, right. So you guys pulled out a crazy amount of defenses on what people regard as an attacker-sided map. So again, first of all, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think Chalet is more of an attacker or defender-sided map? Obviously, based on that, you would think it's a defender-sided map, right? Both teams getting positive splits. But
2 thoughts.
what kind of went in after the obviously it's like series point. You guys are down 4-2 going into the weaker side. So what's the mindset going into that?
So 2 thoughts disregarding the map is 1, we're the D. 2, we're like the steel curtain. Like that series, we had 2 flawless defensive halves. We went 6-0 on defense on Bank and then a 5-0 on Chalet. So like we're very confident in our ability, especially how we play around each other. And then, sorry, you asked me like 3 questions. It's like a loaded question. I do think Chalet is a defender side of map. I think that if defense is played correctly, like it'll always have the advantage, unless you are literally just giving them water guns. Just because of the concept of the game, attackers have to get what the defenders have. I think the defense is always on the forefoot because just naturally they're the ones who determine what the attack does per se. And then the attack job is just like create counter pressure, and then certain maps it's harder to do that than others because of the size of the map or just like how many entry points are on the map or certain parts of the map, etc. And then going into 6-5, I'll be honest, once Bosco clutch, I was so confident.
Oh
Was
man,
Oh,
that must, dude,
that clutch
like
was
that was
crazy.
insane.
All right,
My next
post
question
plant
was going to be
on,
about
the
that.
post plant on
actually.
Master. Are you talking about the
Yes.
1v3? Yeah.
the one with us. And then right after that round, we lose our minds. Everyone's going fucking crazy. Rampy's yelling at the top of his lungs. I got Bosco sitting right here next to me, going like ah, and his headphones were like this ah, because they fell off his head. It was funny. It was great. Good moment. That's why we loved. And then the real nail in the coffin. So we're hype as hell after that. And then the next round, me and Foltz went a 2v2 post plant because TSM just misplayed the post plant horribly.
Oh yeah, I
They
remember
planted
that.
bottom.
I was watching them back off, and they were
Yes.
both going upstairs, and I was like,
What are they doing?
They both
Like-
so they planted the bomb. We get it down to a 2v2, and Achieve starts running towards dining hatch, and then Gasher goes up to the top of main stairs, looking down the holes, look to the bottom of the stairs, anticipating us to go for like a retake or fight them. And I just run to get on the bomb, and Fultz just playing close to the stairs with a shotgun, and we just defuse.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even fight it. Like I didn't get shot at once. Fultz didn't take any damage. We're like,
Yeah.
what are these guys doing? And then at that moment, we're like, these guys are fucking shit. Like mental's got to be shocked. They got to be quiet. Like just no momentum. We suck the air out of the room. And just round after round, we're stacking rounds. And then you could kind of hear our voice getting excited when we're up 5-4, and then we're up 6-4. Last round, people are giving call outs, like you just hear it in our voice, like, oh, he's down, pushing this, pushing that. Like you can hear the fluctuation of the voice just based on what's going on in the round. Game ends, we're like, ah, everyone's fucking screaming, everyone's standing up, hugging. I'm almost crying. She was insane.
yeah. I mean, speaking about that point with Chalet about it being defender sided, I know there was a time where I mean, right? Chalet first came out and it was like attacker sided. People thought Sky and Border were going to be attacker sided. I think there was actually a couple stages where Villa was attacker sided. So things were kind of like evening out. And then now, like this last stage of NAL, and now this quad. I mean, we were looking at Joe and I were looking at the stats.
Yeah, I do have
This
them.
quad.
I'll throw them up. I
Yeah,
have them.
the lowest defending win rate was 58.3%, and then right like Chalet, which we
Chalet
always
was
think of as attacker
crazy
sided,
to me.
81.8%. I mean, and the defense has just shot up. I mean, do you think it's been maybe it was like the introduction of Azami and Solus? Like, do you think it's just really powerful operators being added to the defense? Do you think people are kind of like refiguring out how to stop because they always say, oh, a new map is defender sided until people figure out how to attack it. You think like the defense is kind of refiguring stuff out? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I definitely think you're hitting close to home with the introduction of high utility ops on defense. That and good ops, good guns have shield. Alibi is a shield. Thorn is a shield. Frost is a shield. All good guns. Then of course smoke, utility donkey, good shield, good gun, all the. So yeah, I think that's got a part to do with it. And then again, kind of reinforcing what I said a little bit earlier, like I just think that the way the game plays out, unless like all like the power ups on attacker is busted right now, like busted again, like Monty Lion, Doke, you know, this, like those ups are all still annoying, but you can only afford max 2 in a lineup most of the, maybe 3 or 4 if you're doing a rush, but then your sole purpose is rush. But I just think defense is. But also, I will say this too. Like for whatever reason, NA defensive stats are always skewed, and then defense, like NA teams when we go to international events, like we don't do that good defensive, and it's usually more attacker sided. So there's also the argument to be made of familiarity with just NA region. So NA T2 teams are developed by NA T1 teams, and then T1 teams are developed by international teams. But like we don't have that many international events, and the ones we do aren't that long. So 3-4 times a year you're playing internationally, but for the rest of that time period, so the entire year minus 4 or 5 weeks basically, is just NA scrim. NA scrim. It's just the same shit. Repeat. Like, you know, the same PL teams play each other. The same the T2 teams scrim. The same PL teams. T2 teams scrim. The same teams, exception T3 teams. So it's just like you can only be good as what they're being shown. It's like a trickle down effect. So yeah, I think it's like I said, a combination of really powerful ops on defense, high utility ops like Valk, Echo, Azami, Solus. All those ops are just like have a shit ton of utility, and like you can do a lot with, and you can be rather creative with.
Yeah.
Attack, I feel like it's a little bit more restrained with what you can bring. Still, the introduction to 6-pick definitely helps, but defense is shaped to be able to handle a broad spectrum of what an attack. Because you can't change your defensive ops when you spawn. Yeah. So those ops have to be able to handle multiple things. So I do think the how much stronger? That's a very big argument discussion. I have no. It just depends on when, where, and who.
Yeah, I feel like attack needs like another busted op to be able to like throw it back, because like especially right now, and they definitely shouldn't increase the number of bans from 2 on each side. I think it's great at where it's at. I think it's also great to watch as well, because at the end of the day, like for a while with the 2 bans, it felt like it was only banned Mira and Valk, and then occasionally you'd see some other bans thrown out. But now you have basically, you know, Mira's not as strong as before, and obviously at a higher level, Valk can be countered a lot better than it is in T3. But like now you only get those 2 bans. So 2 of those 4 ops between Solus, Azami, Valk, and Mira, by default, are already going to be up. And then if you want to, you know, throw in the castle ban, like, you know, on Bank, or like, you know, just another kind of thorn in the side ban, maybe even like a mute. Yeah, Cade ban, one of those. Then even another one is up. So it's like, I feel like right now, defense, especially right now, is, you know, you have Solus, who already in of itself is super powerful. And then if you want to ban that, which this past weekend, as we can kind of see, it wasn't banned that much.
I was surprised by that. Really was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
twice.
twice out of all the maps.
That's
Which
crazy.
means-
I can't believe
That is
Malusi
crazy.
was banned. That was a
That one was weird.
That
Crow,
is a
do you
wild.
remember?
That is a wild ban, bro.
Crow, do you remember what teams banned Solus on the 2 occasions? Was it Mirage? Both times?
it was TSM banded against Mirage on Cafe, and then I think TSM ban it again? No.
That was
I think
RTV.
Mirage did. Oh,
Was
was
it-
RT
Was that RTV and TSM?
against TSM? I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking.
No, RTV banned Dokkaebi Valk, Nook Valk.
Good lord. You know, you can look for that, Harrison. I have a question. I kind of want to backtrack a little bit, reel back a little bit. You said that you guys are really comfortable on defense. The way you guys play around each other, you're very comfortable on it, and that's why you guys are, so confident on defense. How, in your eyes, can you kind of translate that to your attacks? Because I feel like you guys probably have the same, thought process of if you can translate that kind of play onto your attacks, you guys already look great right now, just with your defense as strong as they are. So if you can kind of, get that translated to your attacks, I mean, it's just like, unstoppable force type thing. So what do you think you guys can do to kind of, translate your defense and why you guys are so comfortable there onto your attacks?
That's a really good question, and that's a really hard one to answer. I really don't know that much because it's kind of leading up to invite. We almost had, or invite quals. We didn't realize this until we actually played until after. But leading up to invite quals in scrims all the way through, our attacks were the winning side, all throughout. And then we get to the event or the qualifier, and it's the complete opposite. We had some really good attack rounds, but nothing like as dominant as what we were seeing in scrims. In scrims it was regular to get 4-2-5-1 attack splits, really regular. And that's against other PL teams, CL teams, teams that we were scrimming that play similar to RTV, all of it. And I think that I really don't know. I don't know how to make that translate. It's kind of hard. Like, you just kind of you do your stuff and like you try to adapt and you try to create as much pressure as possible. I think that's kind of like the goal for create as much pressure as possible because when you're a defender, feel pressure. You don't understand. You can understand the pressure too, but the way you perceive it at a high level as a player is you feel it. Feel there's a window open behind me, so you feel that you're getting pressure from there, and there's a door being open in front of you, so now you're getting pressure from two things. You feel the pressure from both things, and like you make decisions based on that. So I think being able to create effective pressure is the answer to becoming a. Now again, translation: die less. I don't know. I really don't know. Because like I said, I mean, I really don't know. I don't.
If you knew the answer to that question, we wouldn't be having this
Yeah,
conversation.
exactly.
This is true. This is very true. I would have won all 4 matches and invite quals. Or
If your
all
ass
3.
would not be playing invite calls, you would be qualified.
Also,
it's
I
tough.
found the Solus ban. So it was game 1 was TSM versus Mirage. TSM Bandit on Cafe, and then the upper bracket final TSM Bandit on Villa against RTV. But they didn't ban it against you guys, which I thought was really interesting.
I think they underestimated us.
I was gonna say, especially with how SSG plays. Like, I mean, SSG has always been huge into like info denial, right? Like started, the Mute Mozzie rooms, and then the Mute Mozzie Vigil, and then they still
Missed
play a
that
lot of Mute
meta.
Mozzie, and then I felt like Solus would like slot perfectly in there because now you kind of have like a pseudo pulse-ish info op who's also really good at info denial,
That op's
and
busted.
TSM just didn't.
I don't know. People were sleeping on my boys Matt, Rampy, and Alec.
Yeah.
They didn't think they were them on that op. They are them on that op. Let me tell you.
Actually, speaking of Rampy, that reminds me, going from your bank matches from, RTV to TSM, I mean, you guys went from Castle to Echo, but you kept the Buck ban. What's the philosophy behind the Buck?
Slows them down. Because like banks of map were like, you want to work vert, and a lot of teams are putting Buck and Sledge on the mid sites. On like just slows them down. Plus, people also will rely on Bucky catches on top of doing all that vert. So like, if they could open up like, say they don't open up the stock hatch because they don't have Buck, that's a dub.
Hmm.
If now the only person that can get that hatch is Zero, who happens to be the player, that's a fat rotate. and a lot of like
Yeah.
precautions you have to take as the ATM player to leave that area. So just slows them down, and it's just a comfort up out of the way. Like we don't need it, we don't rely on it, whereas we thought the others did. It was just a pure just counterband, throw a wrench in the gears, slow them down, do whatever, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I know there's, had a question he's been holding on to for a hot minute. Kind of
Let it rip.
interrupted a little bit.
You know what? I'm gonna go a little bit off the rails here. You guys are qualified for invite now, obviously. Who are you joining? You're joining DZ, OXG, M80,
Astralis.
and Astralis,
And Sonics.
and Sonics.
Teams.
It's
Okay.
Sonics. Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to make any predictions because you don't want to jinx yourself. But
I don't
how
believe in that shit.
exactly? Oh, you don't believe in that? Oh, you don't believe in predictions or jinxing
I
yourself?
don't believe in jinxing myself.
Jackson,
I don't
what do you mean? Don't believe in predictions?
I mean,
what
shit,
does that
You
mean?
never know. Fuck.
I believe in the
Would you
opposite.
be comfortable ranking yourself amongst the and all the NA teams going to invite?
Out of all the teams going to invite, I would say it's. I'm gonna be biased. I'm gonna put us at the top because
Yeah, of
it's
course.
that confident. So SSG number 1, OXG, Sonics, DZ, M80, Astralis. Is that all 6? Or am I missing one?
No, you're
That's
good.
all.
I think
You had
that's
it.
all 6. Damn, so you think
That's
Astralis fucking suck, hey?
I think they've had a pretty hard falling out. Yeah, this is based on like scrimming them, all that
Right.
shit.
So, what are your thoughts on that roster move, by the way? So they pick up Spiff. We actually had Spiff on our last podcast. We got a chance to talk to him. So plus Spiff minus DP fire. So what are your thoughts on that?
I got a lot of respect and I like all those a lot. I think they have a really good, healthy team environment. I think that they're just trying to figure out like where their balance should be in the meta, and I don't see any problem with the roster move. If that's who they think that they need to get the job done, that's their opinion. That is what it is. I don't know the inner workings, so my opinion for that is it's irrelevant. And I wouldn't know. Fucking stabbing in the dark. I think it needs time. I think Spiff's an undeveloped player, getting developed. So I think it takes time. Some roster moves you see success right away. Other times it takes time. It takes time for the team to develop. It takes time for the person to develop. It takes time for everything to just cohese and just come together before you see that final picture. So I just think that there's obviously potential with that roster. They're going to invite for a reason. So give it time.
I mean, shoot, that makes sense. Obviously, we got a chance to see them play in a T3 tournament in SCS, and they didn't look too hot, but as you said, still developing. We did see one other team, the team that you ranked as the other really good team, OXG.
Yep.
Again, they did end up after they ended up making that. What was it? It was Sweater and Vert switching roles basically.
Yeah.
In the middle of NAL, and they went just undefeated ever since, even through actually all of that T3 league as well.
No,
So
they
what are your
struggled
thoughts
at the
on-
beginning of that.
Did they? At the
Yeah, their
beginning?
first stage they were not good.
In
Yeah.
SCS.
No, in NAL.
I mean, they had a bad finish, but they finished strong.
Yeah.
At least they
Start,
finished
finish
strong. In
They
the
started
latter
like
half.
0 and 4,
Yeah,
0 and 5 or something. Like they were rough, and then they like put it all together out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So
I think the team is.
No,
I think
go
the current.
ahead.
I think the current roster is really good. I think that it depends on individuals though. I think if fucking Newers and Sweater are popping off, or Newers and +1. I'll just say Newers and +1. If Newers and +1 is popping off, I think they're winning. If Newers is having a bad game, and 2 other people aren't popping off, they're losing it. I think that it's just really reliant on individual talent and individual ability right now. But I do think they have really good individuals. I would put Sonics above Oakshi if they didn't just make a roster move. I would say that. I think I played on that roster. Like I know the people on that roster. I think, but I think that them getting a new player and a rather opinionated player like Citizen, like I think this kind of roster move, like obviously on paper is like really good, but like you could make so. Give it time to figure it out. So I'm giving them a 3, but it's a humble 3. I think they could be 2, but
And may as well. I mean, while we're at it, let's just go over the roster moves for these NA teams going into invite. So next up, I guess, is DZ. I guess you're probably gonna have a similar answer to when we're talking about Astralis. They picked up Gavini and got rid of Eclipse, and Skies is going to be stepping in for a bit. And obviously, there's been a bit of role changes on that team from the last time we saw them in Stage 3. So Skies was playing like a second entry lurky type of role when he played last stage with DZ. And now I believe he's moved on to Heartbreach. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right.
and they brought in Gavini to obviously play entry. So what do you think? How do you think that's going to mesh with a bit of role changes? I know obviously you replaced guys on SSG, so you might have a bit of an opinion when it comes to him and his sort of play style.
I mean, Sky's is definitely an accomplished player. Gavini's a young buck. Really good fragger though. I mean, scrimming against him, he's nasty for sure. Definitely has like some young tendencies over peak, just like maybe life way sometimes when he shouldn't. But overall, pretty good. He's gonna make impact as well as maybe some international competitions here soon. And then with Skies, like again, Skies is an accomplished player, but I think Skies' biggest downfall is his personality. That's been his catalyst on every roster. As far as anytime he like leads a team, I feel like some kind of drama comes out, like, or I hear like the inner words, "Oh, this guy's just toxic," whatever. He's playing with Troy Canadian, who is like a very sound voice. Like, he is the voice of a team. So as long as that doesn't clash, I think.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and I want to take a look at the bands as I still have them on screen. One thing that I thought was very interesting, of all the things that are on there, really, the Ying band, 50% is kind of crazy. Because, I wouldn't necessarily say she's not powerful. She is really powerful. But in my eyes, it's kind of always been more of a counter band than anything. So I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on that with the Ying being, because like the defensive bands, besides the Solus, I feel like there weren't really any surprises in that sense. Just like, Solus not being banned that much, but like you look at the attackers and like I feel like Ying was kind of shocking to me at least.
She's the easiest to crutch. That's literally. She has Harbinger Gadget and Smokes. Very versatile kit. Executes and in order to get more shit open, apply more pressure. Like I was talking about, how the attacks apply more pressure. The more shit you open, the more shit. So the longer you can be alive in the map, the faster you can clear people, pushing up, creating more. And then at the end of the day, you have 4 Candelas, you just roll into sight and blind the entire fucking room. I just think she's the easiest to crutch. Monty is rather hard up the crutch and requires good communication, work around the Monty to work. Habanis is the Harbinger, gets a lot of shit open. But like, I think Ying, out of all the power ops, aside from Doke and Lion, they're not even on the same wave with potential power. But I just think Ying's just throws. I'm gonna throw. You're playing Clubhouse. She's on the blue hatch. You're Ying and blue. You're Ying and back armor. You're dropping kitch hatch. Everyone's fucking blind. Bombs down. You just don't know what to do anymore. Like Ying's just, she's AIDS. She's not fun to play against. And like we banned her on Chalet because of what TSM did to us with her on Club.
Oh, they were just blinding that bitch. That was crazy, bro.
They were just running it down our throat.
Yeah, they did not give a shit.
Bro,
I mean,
No.
do you think that was one of the biggest parts about why you guys lost your map pick, is just they abused the shit out of you? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. On Club, like we definitely had like our footing on defense. On attack, a little rough. Lost some close rounds, and that didn't set us up the best. But then when we got the defense, we were able to win some rounds. But then we would be in winning situations for these rounds, and then boom, Candelas, and then everyone's dying. Like she would bust the defense with less than 30 seconds on the clock. Shit.
Yeah. And then, speaking about high ban rate, I mean, something else that was a bit shocking is with the Zombie and Solus coming in. We already talked about the lack of the Solus bans. Why do you think, Valkyrie was obviously, Valkyrie's powerful because she's info, but
94%.
I feel like, yeah, normally,
That's high.
it's not this high, and there was no Mira bans whatsoever.
I think it's just really easy to be honest. I think like what you answered your own question. She's info, and like how much easier it is to make plays as a team. Like, oh, you see this guy, you're playing bank, and they're playing top square, and you see this guy, you just jump on him. You're like, yo, this guy's on cams. 4 people are flying at him. Like that's the power of Valk, and Solus can do similar things to that, but a little less. It's a little bit more restrictive. They have to be on you.
Yeah.
And then Azami's still like really strong, but like she's easier to deal.
There's
She's got a lot
ways
of
you can
stuff.
play against a zombie that in Valkyrie there's legit only one hard counter to,
That's IQ,
which is
yeah.
IQ. You
Yeah.
need to bring an IQ in order to counter a Valk. When it comes to a zombie, there's 1,000,001 ways to play against it. It's just very inconvenient.
That's a good point. It's a great point because it's really hard. People who are playing don't want to afford an IQ in them because you said she's very one-dimensional in what she does. Now, if people bring Solus on top of the Valk, you maybe be able to use her for 2 things because solo shot
That's true,
or
yeah.
scanner. But like what you're saying is 100% accurate. And that is, people don't want to bring IQ. She's a hindrance. She's got a really good gun, but her utility blows cock. It's just
Right, like who are you gonna drop for an IQ? Like you're not gonna drop a Yana for an IQ.
Most of the time,
you'd have to
probably
drop
not gonna
your
drop a
flank watch
Lion.
like your Lion, or like you have to. I feel like.
I mean, even then you're losing your 2 EMPs for
Yeah.
a
a lot
scanner.
of the time people drop their vertical op. Sometimes they'll drop a sledge, just bring IQ breaches. But
Right.
then you're forced to bring Yana. You're forced to bring a knock maybe on top of that.
The nades, right?
Yeah, it just like things can shift around. You can definitely do it. It's just like, yeah.
Imagine how much easier it is to just banner, right?
Oh yeah, exactly.
That thought doesn't even need to cross your mind, yeah.
And then with Echo, which is arguably like, oh, Valk's ban just ban Echo. The kit's different, no nitro, no. He has impact still, but him being a 2-speed is pretty nice. But the vision's just less. It's less secretive because the Echo cams are bigger and the noise, and then on top of that, you just don't get like the same rewards from having an Echo post busher as you would as a Valk.
Yeah, those Echo drones be screaming.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I mean, I can hear like when I play Bank because I'm our ATM player. Like I'm the player that goes front lobby and it's like people. If there's an Echo cam somewhere on like the elevator on the second floor, I can hear that bitch the second I walk through the ATM door, and I'm just like, I hear this thing, but I can't see it, and it's
Wow.
it's annoying. But like I hear it. I hear the fans.
Yeah.
I hear it.
I mean, do you think there's any way to nerf Azami or Valk? Do you have any ideas in mind?
I have
Because
a
obviously
Valk one.
the numbers are
I got a Valk one.
For Valk, I think you can make the whole cam like illuminate a little bit more, maybe on them. Let them do their default thing when people are off them, but like when they're on them, like make them light up a little bit more. That or like, I think a cool thing would be like in Apex when you're getting hunted by Bloodhound,
Yeah.
some type of visual effect, maybe something like that for Valk when you're getting like people are looking at you with Valk cams, or like for maybe 2 seconds you get like a little warning or something. And then with Azami, recharge time or just remove one per Azami discs.
Yeah, I was gonna
yeah,
say.
I mean, for Azami at least, yeah.
Valk is interesting completely. But yeah, go ahead real quick. I don't wanna.
No, you're fine. I was just saying, Azami's a little bit easier to nerf than Valk.
Yeah, because there's no one else that does like exactly what Valk does, just because she's cams you can put literally anywhere.
I mean, you used to throw them outside. That shit was great.
Yeah, that was a great.
Wow,
I thought that was a
that was a great
change.
that was a great change.
And
That was a terrific
she
change.
had 4 of them.
Yeah, odd launch. I remember that.
That shit was
dude,
ass.
4
That shit was
cam
ass.
Valk. 4 cam Valk was crazy.
And
Yeah, you also couldn't ban it.
Yeah, you couldn't ban it. Skins weren't banned, so everyone was running Valk Elite.
Yeah,
It was a
The
war
list
zone.
goes on. Okay, I mean, the list goes on, bro.
it was crazy. And then, with the rise in Valk and stuff like that, we're seeing a drop. I think in some other bans. I mean, what are your thoughts on the fact that Mira wasn't banned at all? Nook has taken a dip. We have the rise of Dokkaebi bans too. What are your thoughts on those?
I think Mira's like still a really strong ban for some teams, but a lot of teams don't play. Just because like she used to be banned so much. So I just feel like teams don't play her as much as she gets played. That and she kind of revolves around the idea of playing slow. You have utility to play behind, whereas a lot of people just want 1.5s and fast ops with good guns and everything. So I think that's part of it. Then Knock. The only reason she's declined is the recoil got a little bit harder for her, and Solus counters her hardish. If Solus is being banned, you're gonna get spotted because anytime like the whole purpose of Knock is to be on your gadget, and Solus will seize it. I think the Doke ban's pretty good. I mean, it's really annoying to deal with. Like Doke's just like it's like a line call that lasts for 20 seconds, keeps you off cams. Like Doke got to the point where she was so prevalent that we had to make a call out for when we were called. We say we're shrouded. Like we literally say like when she calls and like you're a dead guy on cams, like we're shrouded, and that lets the other people alive know that we can't be on cams, just because it became such a problem.
Yeah, I think that was a really, I don't want to say, I guess really good buff for her that you'd be put in with that. She just forces everyone off her because right, even if everyone alive turns their phones off, the dead people have to wait the whole duration, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Doke. I love the introduction to the grenades and giving the global. The globals got neglected after they were so strong. and then
Yeah.
giving them a purpose lit. I like it. I think it's that's a
I
bright. It's
also
like
love.
watch.
I also like as a viewer the decline of Thatcher bans is very refreshing.
Everyone
too.
does.
I like how Thatcher's brought for specific parts of Walden, like mute jammers and stuff. EMP grenades counter great, and then you get to Cades and the bandits, and you need a little bit more of them, and be less precise. Thatcher, but Thatcher's kind of like a Q. Obviously he does a little bit more, but he's slow. His utility is Joker, best of both worlds. Same with
Thatcher's very situational with EMPs.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's only certain times you can justify dropping. Would you not rather just bring a Lion or an Osa? Right? Exactly what you're saying, Yeti. There's certain sites where you're gonna need imagine let's say CC Platwall, right? Imagine you're fucking like K tricking it, and there's a mute jammer on it too, and you're like, all right, like we're gonna perfectly place these 2 EMPs to get both, and the guy's K tricking you, and then there's a guy on the wall with a mute jammer on it. Then it turns into sort of a headache. We're like, all right,
Yeah.
we're dropping one of our EMPs. We're just gonna bring a Thatcher. That's
100%.
sort of the only situation where I can justify it.
Yeah, same with K tricky matches. That's the only
Yeah.
because because same thing with Mav. Like Mav's kind of like now without the nades.
Yeah.
Still got stunned, so he's a little bit better than Thatcher, but like it takes time. That's the that's the trade off. So
Yeah.
those like Thatcher, IQ, Mav, like all of them are kind of in like the very situational department.
I'm still mad about that.
Yeah. I feel like now it's weird too with all the defender utility that's here now. It's like the anti-util on the attack has kind of like
Yeah.
really
I
gone
mean,
down.
I personally like nades being nerfed and taken away, but I also liked Mav having nades because he was a very complimentary op. Whereas giving them the Glaz, I still feel like Glaz is a butt. Sure, he's at the very 9. Sure, he's a 3-speed.
Bro, Glass is fucking useless.
He just doesn't.
I mean,
what are you
you
going to
just
use
gotta
nades
control
for?
the
He has a
glass.
thermal scope. Why would you'd be trolling if you don't
Like-
break smokes?
No, 100%. Like you were literally you were literally a Gilly in the mist when you have the smoke grenades. Why the hell is Glaz bringing nades? And like
Who
it's
would
almost
we
like they
get
made
beats
Glaz
with?
like a fragger,
And
with a
they have
sniper.
Glass has a Gone 6 too, which is
Yeah,
really
Gone
funny.
6, Bearing 9, EMPs.
Jesus.
I think he has smokes, nades, and claymores, and then
They're trying
Man.
so hard. They're trying so
I know.
hard.
Like they just gotta realize that motherfucker has a sniper rifle.
yeah, I know.
And not a
Uh,
Cali sniper rifle. Like, bro, like you cannot just
It's
again.
more of a
you just cannot
DMR
justify it.
than anything.
Like I said,
Essentially, yeah.
It's like
Well,
they're trying
yeah,
to make him a
'cause
fucking
it's
3
supposed to be a Dragunov.
Mhm.
I think yeah, he is. Is he 3? Wait, is he 3-speed
Is he
now?
a 2 or 3?
Yeah,
Three.
they made him
Captain's a
3-speed
2,
when they
he's a
made
three. Dude, they're
yeah,
just,
they
like,
made him
got
3-speed when they
Glass.
made like Dokkaebi and 3-speed and like Mute.
They're trying to make him a
Before
COD
that-
quickscoper, bro.
before that.
Was
They
it
made
before
they
that?
made Glass a 3-speed a little while ago, like 2 patches ago. I
Oh.
want to say.
I kind of miss Powerful Glass. I'm not gonna lie. I know
Powerful
Ying,
Glass is
I know
crazy.
I know Ying Glass meta was like aids to play, but I loved that shit. I ate that shit up. That was so fun.
Yeah, back when Ying meta was crazy.
I'm
So
telling
you
Ying
said
Glass
you
was
loved
like-
it. I had to play during that. That was terrible.
See,
Half
that's
the
what I'm saying.
round, my
I'm
screen was
sure-
white.
I'm sure as a player, like that fucking sucked. But dude, watching watching Slashug like snipe C4s out of the air as Glass was crazy.
Yeah,
That was
was-
insane.
Glass was busting. Let's go first.
And now he's fucking ass.
I mean, he's
But,
decent. He's just situational. It's just like, who do you want to bring
That's
instead
true,
of?
he's not-
You have to have something pre-planned out.
That's why I was really watching Hat play Glass is really cool because Hat is fearless, and that motherfucker just walks in. Yeti, have you heard of a guy named Wacko?
No,
You just keep
Shut
bringing
the
him
fuck
up.
up, bro.
You
Shut the fuck
keep
up.
bringing him
Shut the
up,
fuck up.
Harrison.
That guy
Bro.
just he's a collegiate player.
is he
But
next
he
up?
played in
He played in SES and he did pretty well.
and he was the best entry player in the league, and like half his rounds or like a quarter of his rounds were on Glass. That guy
How did that
plays
guy make
Glass like,
SES, bro?
dude, he plays Glass like Ash. It's
I mean,
crazy.
to be
Also, his
fair,
graphic
Glass
was
does
crazy.
2-shot people. He literally 2-shots people, and he's a 3-speed, and he's got the Bearing 9. So I mean, I get it. Like, I get why Glass can be good. Maybe people haven't explored it yet, but like, I just think the concept of it's stupid. That's all. Just saying.
Just like a fundamentally useless operator and just like giving him a bunch of fucking steroids.
Yeah, but yeah.
Like, imagine
Yeah.
like a kid who just never works out and just pumping him up on fucking like test. See what happens, right? Like,
Well, he would
Yeah,
get
we should do
titties.
that. We should do that.
You say you should do what, Harrison? Just
No,
you want to test that out?
don't worry about that.
see what kind
withdrawals.
of an animal he becomes.
I'll go from like 125 pounds to like 200 in in a month.
Yeah.
Speaking about too with invite and potentially a new with Blast coming in, and then they always do the new season reveal and stuff like that at invite. Obviously, I don't know how much Ubisoft communicates to you guys because sometimes they like to show the pro stuff and then sometimes they don't. So I don't know if the map pool is changing, but if you could change the map pool,
Labs.
would you change it?
Labs.
Yeah, I think I'd put labs in instead of. For me, it'd have to be Cafe Oregon. Probably Oregon.
Oregon.
Fucking sucks. But really, you'd put so out of all the maps in the pool, you'd put labs.
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be labs for Oregon, Canal for.
You're a canal guy.
I like Canal. Yeah, Canal for maybe Cafe.
Interesting.
I like Canal because it's a small map. I like small maps. They're entertaining. They're the most fun.
It also has a little
That's
depth
why.
now.
That's why. Yeah, that's why I don't think Coast deserved to go.
I think Coast
I like
deserved to be
Coast.
swapped out for another small, which was
Yeah.
Border, and I think that's fine. I think that's what the game should do. I think it should swap out for maps with similar DNA. That's all, because it keeps the game fresh, and like the maps will end up playing out similar. Like Border and Coastline aren't that different in terms of how they play out. There's a lot of external pressure. There's a lot of windows. There's a lot of just like first room entries, and once you get that first room, you just gotta splinter out. Like it's damn near the same fucking. It plays out the same way almost.
Yeah, lots
Just
of
a different
especially
map.
too on the defense, like lots of like cross map kind of holds and crossfires and stuff like that. Because
Yeah,
I
rotations.
always loved Coastline was always my favorite map. What's so great about Labs? Because my experience on Labs, obviously, I'm not a pro player. I fucking hate that map. I
It's
despise
great.
it.
It's a big map. The rooms are very crisp. They're very clean. There's not a lot of shit in it. The gunfights, it has natural cover to set up good gunfights. That map would be insanely defensive sided when it first came out. If it was like if it would come into the pool right away. But it's just unique. It's unique. It gives me like CS:GO vibes. I'm not a CS:GO player, but it's the one where like I think it's Nuke maybe.
Yeah.
It's one with the marshmallow, the big marshmallow with like the
Yeah.
underground. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives me that kind of vibe. And it just kind of does something different than all the other maps have done. It's good. It's spacious. There's a lot of room for a lot of creativity and meta development over time. It'd be a good long-term stay, and I just don't think Oregon is delivering on that. I think Oregon's very stale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Oregon
playing
would
labs, especially like the first time, like when I had no idea what was going on, you still got like a sense that it played out pretty well. Like when Emerald Plains came out, when Stadium came out, like when all these maps come out, you play it a couple times, you're like, this is just like it's not a comp map. Like Emerald, I don't think is a great map at all. Stadium is terrible in my eyes just because of the glass. But I think like even when you don't know what's going on in labs, it feels like it still actually has a way that it plays out a little bit. And I mean, you said it too, like, you can kind of tell that, the longer it's played and the more people figure it out, it could actually be like a pretty developed map in that sense. At least in my eyes from what I've gathered from playing it the 20 or so times that I've played it in ranked.
Yeah. I think the sites definitely have a standard.
I mean, even attacking that map, like after a few times, like, all right, like this is the direction. We open X wall, we get to clear X room. It plays out like a sort of competitive way as well. Even on defense, the rooms are all fucking like the rooms are all super unique, which I like.
Yeah.
Like, imagine the amount of like a zombie cooking you could do on that.
Dude, especially in the basement. The basement feels like it could. The basement is the only one I actually have fun on. But I think my opinion is biased because the first time I played Night Haven Labs, I opened up the like the main wall into garage, and I was like, oh, there's 4 doors and a balcony looking at me, and I died, and that would put a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah, there's like I like it because it's like the base of it is literally Oregon basement, which is it's like that one pillar room with the staircase and the hatch, but it's like there's no E-box hatch. The hatch is like in a safer corner. They can be nitroed, but like punished by being swung. Like it's just like I don't know. It takes some rooms that you've seen before and just puts a little twist on it, and other rooms are just brand new. Like the room with like the beta tank inside of it, like the back to tank.
That room is sick.
That
Yeah, that
dope
room's
as hell.
awesome.
Yeah, like the leveling of the room is unique too because it's one of those rooms where it's like the circular part of the room is down like divot.
Yeah.
And, like there's
Yeah,
elevated
yeah.
surface around it, so it makes the gunfights a little bit more unique and challenging because your crosshair placement varies. I just think it's different. I like different. I think Siege different in the right spots. And I think the map's a good place to start.
Interesting.
It has a lot of depth. All right, I kind of want to move on a little bit. We want to. I kind of want to take a look at the bracket for the most part. Just going through, going back to SI quals. Just like, I mean, we talked about it kind of in our pre-show. We kind of had our predictions, and I think for the most part, I mean, Harrison, I really don't remember yours, but I remember.
Mine was reality TV wins in the first round,
Yeah.
and then TSM makes finals, and SSG goes perfect in losers bracket. So I was right.
Yeah.
I'm a
Really?
fucking genius.
So,
I'm the
sorry,
only-
Yeti.
I'm the only one
We
right.
both,
You.
me and
Wow.
Harrison both had you guys losing that first game, and then still making it to the finals. But I thought TSM was going to win, which I thought was a safe pick, just because they had been playing so well. And then, I mean, I don't know.
Fucking doofus, man.
Yeah,
What made
I
you think they
mean,
were playing so well? That's my question. to
just
you. What
from
made-
what I saw at the major, I thought that they were a little bit different of a team, and I thought they'd continue to get better, but it didn't look that way at all.
Yeah, but you're a fool because TSM or again SSG only didn't make it out of groups because
our
round
group was
count.
literally hard as
Well,
shit.
yeah, which
Yeah,
which
they
I
had
totally
W7
agreed with.
Well, yeah, okay, it's because they had W7M,
Yeah.
who were the
And
best
BDS.
LATAM team, and
And
BDS,
BDS.
who won the whole thing, and TSM got 7-0'd.
And
They
you damn
did.
near beat BDS out to make the fucking
Yeah,
Yeah,
like.
So Joe,
so
yeah.
Joe was a fool.
you were impressed by TSM's major.
I was
You know
just
the only other hold on. You know the only other competition they really had in that group was Liquid, right?
yes.
Like no shade on Heroic, no shade on Dire Wolves. That wasn't Direwolves. I forgot.
Sandbox.
It was Sandbox.
That's okay for forgetting them. They went 0-0-0-6.
Yeah, no, they're
Boy.
yeah. That one's okay.
Dick.
That one's
Just
definitely
because they
okay.
made it to playoffs, just because they made it to playoffs, and we didn't, don't mean shit. All right, we were playing fucking demons and fucking goblins, bro. Like those guys are fucking. That shit was AIDS.
Well, it wasn't
That is
necessarily
why,
that it was
I
just
mean-
like they're better than you guys. I just thought they would continue to get better with Snake and Gasher, and they just, in my eyes, didn't at all. To be quite honest,
I had
They
SSG
didn't
winning
get
every
7-0,
single
they
game.
got 6-0'd on
I respect it. I would have done the same shit.
I
But
had
it
SSG
just-
winning every game, and that was because I thought TSM would have way too many holes, and the way that SSG fundamentally plays should be able to pick apart those holes. And I think I was.
yeah. I also messed up because I heard they were getting shit on in scrims, and I still said they'd do it.
who?
TSM.
Oh really?
I had heard they were
was
getting shit
actually-
on.
I was actually surprised I didn't hear anything about them in scrims. I didn't like. I heard about like Reality. I heard about Mirage. I didn't hear anything about TSM.
I also could be wrong. I
Yeah.
just heard what I
The
I heard
only
what I heard.
reason- The
Rumors-
only reason why I thought Reality TV was going to win the first game against you guys was because, one, you guys haven't played in a while, and Reality TV had, they've had constant, CL, SES, and open quals, and then closed quals. And I think the way they play, especially with how SSG historically have struggled with more of the like really aggressive, almost like random kind of aggressive teams. I thought Reality TV was going to be able to take you guys off guard, and then you guys would be like, oh, now that we know they're going to do this, then you would take the rematch.
You know what's really crazy? When we played them, we didn't really think they were that aggressive. It was more or less just like, honestly, we kind of put it on ourselves. The reason we lost more than that they were like, just like, they really just did default stuff, and they didn't play at this insane tempo or with insane confidence. Like their best player got himself the second coming of Jesus, walks up a Tristan, didn't do shit. I thought Hat was better than him.
Yeah, Tristan had a really slow series. I was surprised.
I
I
think
think
it's
Tristan-
pacing.
I think Tristan needs to find more of an impactful place on attack. I think I think he plays defense pretty well. I don't think he does shit on attack for the op. He needs to be more of like, an entry. I don't think he does that. I think he plays Yana like a lurker. Like he baits a little bit. No disrespect to that, people do that, but like
Yes. I teamed with Tristan in T3 for like a few months, but right before he got picked up to CL.
Yeah.
And one thing I said he did like a lot was tunnel vision on attack, where he wouldn't quite know what to do in a certain situation. So even in a 1vx, he would sort of hold an angle for like 6 seconds.
I think they just need to
post-plant.
play around
Really.
that and just like
I don't
basically like
know.
make
Is
his
he good
role
enough-
the spearhead. Like
Is he
if that's
good
what it
enough
is.
Is he good enough at playing like that you build around that, or is this the ceiling? Like
I mean,
is what
yeah.
we just saw the ceiling?
I think he just thrive on more of a lurky role instead of being like let someone else
Yeah.
play Yana that's actually gonna. That's all. Like I said, like I think Tristan's got like good mechanics and like he's a good player, but I don't think he plays that op with the intensity that op should play. Like
Yeah.
any other person on any other team, like we have Fultz play Yana and Rampy sometimes, both really aggressive players. We have Merc on TSM or Bolo on both really aggressive players. Like that is a pretty resounding reoccurrence for most players who play that op on.
Do you think he plays like a Yeti role, like a Dokkaebi?
I mean, yeah, I think he could do that. I definitely think I think the flank
Yeah.
watch role has been freed. I think that role like back in the day, like in the UTL meta, was like, all right, boy, mailbox
you're
up, sit on
locked.
the
You're
sit on
locked
Yeah.
the
camps.
fuck
It was
in at that point.
the
That shit was
thinking
so
the
boring.
thinking Nate stare at this hallway for 2 minutes.
Yes.
Oh, and
yes.
it would work too. It would fucking work.
No,
Yeah.
Nate was the go to that stuff. But then, yeah, it just got freed up. Like the ops that can do that now are like, I mean, I can hold flank with Twitch. I can hold flank with fucking Nomad. There's no boundary. I can hold flank with Ash. Shit, you know, like it just. I think that it being freed up it's basically a learn. Your job is to watch flanks, and if the flanks no longer need to be watched, or whatever push you're doing doesn't have much of a flank at all in the early round, or at all in the round, like go crazy.
Start flanking them.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, I think
Nice.
Tristan. I always thought Tristan was really good, especially it's CL. It's not closed calls for SI. But one of my problems with RTV, with as much as I love those guys, as much as I love Mr. B, despite all his faults, you know, especially in that game on Border, Hat was playing Ace like Tristan needed to be playing Iana,
Oh yeah,
and
I think
like
that was impressive.
Hat has always been like that, bro. Even when Hat was teaming with Frozen and was on like Hibana, he was that aggressive. And I think they need to put Hat on the primary entry
Yeah.
more than they already do. Because Hat, like with Finka meta, Hat was the Don. I mean, everyone who played Finka was, but that's I think where Hat really started to develop. And so he's just used to being that guy who just
No.
walks in. And when you have a
Yeah.
team with Rice, Mr. B, and Giddy, like you need to really focus on Hat being that guy.
I agree. I
Cat was
definitely think Cat's like should be in a more aggressive position on attack and let Tristan be more of like a back end round lurky player.
Yeah, because that's what they do on like that. You saw the Monty push they do on Bank, like when that works, which it did. I think almost every time in CL, it was Tristan would like hit the back, like while everyone was distracted by the Monty, Tristan
Yeah.
would be the guy that hit the back.
Yeah, I think that's what Tristan tries to do, but when he's like with other people, I don't understand. He has to die to die or initiate a gunfight with somebody to push the round
I think
instead
the
of
operators they play are like indicative of how they play though. Like watching Hat play Ace and Tristan play Yana, like I can already tell Mr. B has a plan, like throughout the round that he wants Tristan in a certain spot
Yeah.
on Yana because of the nades, right? Ace, after you throw your aces, motherfucker, walk in
Yeah,
the
he's
side
got the
right?
AK-12
Like,
at that point.
okay,
Yeah.
like even looking at like entry stats for quals, I mean Rice was terrible on or sorry, not Rice. Hat was terrible on entry. He went 4-13 actually, but he had the most engagements by far. Actually, Mr. B had the most engagements with 20.
Mr. B has always and always will have, I think, the most. He's
most
like
entry
Penguin. He's like
engagements.
Penguin.
Because that
Yeah.
motherfucker
Like
just
Penguin
be
on
walking.
PB.
He just be walking at people, bro. I'm gonna keep
I
it
will
a
say
buck.
most IGLs who IGL from the flex position will take chances to like either kick gills or die, because if they die they can kind of micromanage, and if they kill people then still push forward. So I mean that kind of makes sense. But I mean I think with what you're saying, I mean it just kind of changes the argument from them changing roles, which I don't necessarily think should happen, but Tristan still needs to play more aggressively, either after utility's been used for its purpose or whatever. Like, because like I said, when you watch him play and he's sitting in the back, he's doing what he should be doing. When you watch him play and he's in the front of like a push where he's like around people and he has to get in the building or should be putting pressure somewhere, I think he really struggles. Like I said, I didn't feel pressure from Tristan. I didn't feel like Tristan was making a huge impact in the rounds that we were playing against them. But Hat on the other end, like, yeah, he was taking chances and he was winning them. So
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah,
Like I
'cause
said, I don't.
my problem with
Sure.
with Hat on the entry, especially on border, was like, yeah, after you throw your aces, go crazy. But that motherfucker was trying to entry into break room, like.
Yeah, that shit's tough.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
can't-
that's
you
a
can't-
big
you
no-no.
can do it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
you
mean,
can do it, but
I mean, you could do it if you're winning, but when you're like not winning those gunfights, you're the only hard breach. Because I'm pretty sure Mr. B plays like what does Mr. B play on border? I've been watching those guys play border for
Nomad.
like a year and a half. He plays Nomad, right? So I
Plays
don't think they're
Nomad
bringing
and-
a secondary hard breach because I think Packer used to play Ace actually on border, and Packer was never a primary entry. So in theory, like,
Rice a lot of the times would play like Hib or Therm, I think.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
I mean,
Rice
then
was
shit,
a
Or
Rice.
like Flores.
Yeah, he
shit,
was.
Hack, go crazy then.
Yeah, Hat was playing a lot. Actual
I
hard
don't know.
breach.
I don't know if it felt different in the server, but at least for me, I thought Rice was actually pretty. I don't know if I'd say impressive,
He was the most impactful on their team.
but yeah, he was
Say
he
that.
was really good.
He
I
shit on you
thought.
guys on map one.
Yeah, he did. No, he had, he. I mean, he was the highest rated player. No, I definitely felt Rice was playing pretty good. He did have like 110 ping. That was kind of aids. There's
Oh, he
sometimes
did. I didn't even
yeah.
realize.
There was sometimes you'd shoot him and it wouldn't feel quite right, but it's just the game. He can control that. It's probably pretty aids for him at times too.
Hmm.
But he made it work, and I thought he played pretty good.
Yeah.
And then moving from reality TV, I think to some of the like TSM, something that the production guys and I were talking a lot about TSM is what we noticed in Yonshiping. If they weren't like being given opportunities, or if they were given opportunities and then they weren't winning the fights, it seemed like they were really lost, like, and they didn't really know what to do. Did it still? Did it still feel like that kind of in close calls? Like, is that something you guys played into?
Oh yeah, they're a huge based team, and also honestly, I think like that environment's kind of grown sour. I don't know everything. I don't know. I wouldn't even say I know a lot, but I do know that. Uh, I feel like when you have rookies on the team, you start losing. I feel like it's very easy being like the long-standing core members of that team, the point victim.
There's beef.
So I don't say there's beef, but I just feel like criticism gets thrown around in maybe a wrong way. I think that Gash, what the fuck you doing? Snake, what the fuck you doing? If that comes out of someone's mouth, a couple times, that's all
Could
it
be
takes.
received the wrong way.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, you shouldn't be saying that shit.
Oh, given and received, yeah.
Yeah, given. I mean, received probably the correct way.
I mean, if someone's telling you you're a fucking retard, what are you doing?
When you're in a pro team, criticism has to be handled. Like, you have to be a professional. Being a
You are a
professional is not
professional.
just exactly. Being a professional isn't just being really good at the video. Being a professional is being a professional person, professional teammate, being a professional friend, whatever the fuck. Knowing how to talk to your opponent, knowing how to talk to your teammates, and like really work towards something is a very serious thing, and it can be an issue, and it can be catalyst, or it can be like the reason you see some of these teams really have triumphant runs and just really big spurts, and that's because things are handled in the right way and like done the right way. So I think Snake was like one of their best players, and like seeing him play the way he's playing all of a sudden, I think that could be a little concerning. Gasher's a hard breach, so I mean, on the scoreboard, may not look the best, but
I mean, Gasher's doing his job. Even like just watching from a spectator POV, it seems like he's doing his job. But then again, like Gasher calls late round, and TSM's late round sometimes isn't the best. So maybe that's something to put into question. But stats wise, I agree. Like when the bottom two players in your team statistically are your two like rookies from CL that you just picked up, and this is the most high intensity match that they've played. I mean, barring I guess the major, right? But this is a spot to go to the invite.
Yeah.
And you see, stuff like that happening in comparison to their performance in NAL and the major. Even I guess that's a concern.
Sorry, what was the prize split at the major?
you could also talk about the major how they lost to their teammates they just dropped. That
Yeah.
shit definitely has an effect on the.
Oh, Geo, right?
Yeah,
That shit
they
was
did
so
lose
funny,
to Geo.
That shit was so funny.
I love Gio. That's
He's
one of my
doing
favorite people.
great with Sonics. Speaking of,
Good for him. Good for him.
Gio's great, bro. Gio's a really good player. I've been friends with Gio for a long time. So I got a lot of respect for that guy.
How much did TSM make? 20? Yeah, okay, yeah, especially to the point of that being high intensity. Like, yeah, they played at the major, but they made $20,000 from 5th to 8th because it's a $500,000 tournament. Last invite was what, 3 million, something like that. That's the invite prize pool. You get $35,000 just for going.
Yeah.
So they would have outmade themselves. Even being last place from the major. So I definitely think that's a really valid point. Even though they played the major, I think qualifying for invite is even
Nothing else
better.
matters other than invite. I'll tell you that shit right now. I could qualify for. I would.
Yeah.
missing on an invite is like missing out on your son's birth.
Jesus, man.
Of all the directions you could have taken that was like one of the
That caught me off.
yeah, that caught me off guard a little bit.
Like you're talking about a chance. You're talking about a really good chance to win the lottery. I would have to do the statistics, but like, there's only like 40, I think 40, 50 players that go to fucking invite, and all of them are competing for the chance to, or no, it's whatever 16 times fucking 5 is.
Let me see. Oh wait, no, it's 20 teams now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 20 times 5.
100.
So
20 times
100 players.
Woo!
100 players. 5 of them from each team. So you break it down. You basically have a 20% chance to win the damn thing. And that's life changing money, buddy. You wake
Yeah.
up one day, you see 150 G's roll into your bank account. I bet you. Yeah.
I think too, it's like
Yeah.
everybody when they start playing comp, or even like when they're not playing comp at all, when you're just a viewer, it's like such a moment when the hammer's raised at the end of invite. I mean, I remember the first invite I watched was not the year one. It was the one that Penta won against EG, and that final was like what really got me into Siege. And I think it's the big moment. I mean, a lot of esports have it, like Dota has the TI, League has Worlds, COD is COD Champs. I mean, every esport has like that one event that is, above all everything. It's the one that matters. And I think, Invite is obviously clear in a way. It does the best with viewership. It's the biggest moment. And it's not even just like a big tournament in general. It's like a celebration of Siege is like really what it is. So like definitely missing out definitely hurts to say the least.
And especially with TSM being the first ever world champion to miss the very next invite, that's gotta suck.
And like as a player going to invite, it is the nicest hotels, the best food, the best venue, the most fans, most media, the highest quality. Like there are at least 10 cameras on you at almost all fucking times you are not in the scrimmer. Like you're the shit. Like you feel like the shit when you're at invite. Like you are a top 100 player in the world, and no one can deny that. And there are players, like 75% of like all the players that play Siege at a pro level will never make it. So making 1 feels really fucking. Making 2, can't describe it.
Shit, man.
It's like going to the Super Bowl back to back.
Oh, it's legit. I mean, it's Siege's Super Bowl, essentially. I mean, I know you were talking earlier about, like, fuck going to a major, right? When it comes to, like, to the end goal of Siege. Like, we have teams like, what, fucking FaZe that won the second. Did they, like, win the second major, like, what, this year, last year?
Yeah.
They won a major, and then the next stage,
They won Sweden last year.
Sweden.
The third major last year.
And I'm pretty sure they didn't even fucking, like, they're having troubles qualifying for majors, right? They're like, the next majors. Then there's teams that will be like, yo, like, I'll go to 3 straight majors, then I'll bum out an invite.
Yeah.
So as much as majors like matter, like throughout the year, invite is 100% the final goal. Everyone's gonna be trying their hardest.
100%. FaZe is a bad example because they actually had a pretty good year still, but I know what you're saying. Just FaZe finished. They won Sweden last year, so the third major of last year. They missed the first major of this year, so they missed Charlotte, and then they came in second place in Berlin.
Yeah.
And then I think they got, but
I know they made it.
The
they made
Berlin
it
major
out,
was great.
and
was
they
a-
made it out in Jönköping, and then they got
oh yeah, they played fucking
they
Liquid.
got kind of smoked by
Roll.
Liquid. Yeah. Which, dude, the bracket, the way the bracket turned out, I know a lot of people hated it because of the inter-region play.
It was awful.
I thought it was, yeah, it was pretty bad. But I thought it was really funny. Like,
Oh,
at
it was
the very
funny.
least,
It was
It was funny in
hilarious.
the worst way.
it was
Funny in the worst way.
really- It was really funny. I mean, I don't understand why Ubisoft doesn't do.
They need to stop pan random.
I don't know why they don't do cumulative seeding.
Yeah, I
Like-
don't know. They need to figure that shit out because that shit is stupid. Like the random drawing the balls out of the hat kind of shit. Like this ain't no kindergarten 4K.
I would have just called a redo. You see that bracket, just like be like, all right, we can't do this. Run it back. Like,
No, that'd be
reset
so funny.
everything.
No, imagine they do that,
Like,
and then Milosh gets the call. Hold on, production's telling me we got to redo this shit.
Yeah.
like,
I
dude,
don't
you
know
play
why
a
they don't
full
have
year,
like
man.
why they don't
Play a
have
full
like
year.
the first place team based on because looking at the major bracket, like W7M, right, 18 points, easy. They're first place. Second place between Sonics and Team Liquid, it would go to Team Liquid because they have higher round differential, and then just do it like that. And I'm sure, like statistically, maybe one of the matches
Yeah,
are
Liquid
two
W7M.
teams. Or like one of the matches is like maybe like two teams from the same group, but it's
Better
but
than
at the major it's all best of ones. Now they get to play best of three, which
Yeah.
is new, and it's
That's how they
better
actually
than fucking
God, Harrison, you're so
whatever the
smart
hell
for
we
this.
got.
they do the seeding currently in majors. Like, you can't play them in the quarters, which is stupid. You can't play the same. So they set it up to where you can't play the same team from a group in the quarters,
Yeah.
which is why the seeding gets all fucked.
Mhm.
That's someone was talking about this, and that needs to be removed. You should be able to play the same team from quarters, and that would basically fix it. Because when they do that random drawing,
I need
if you whenever you watch it live, like you'll see them put like it's out of order because they have to like
yeah,
do
the
it
on
in
the bracket
lines.
graphic.
Yeah,
I'm trying to what the fuck would the bracket be if they did it a better way? So it was,
but Liquid
you guys
Phase.
can keep talking about stuff.
Yeah. I do want to go back because this is something that I really wanted to get your perspective on. Which also feel free to not talk about this if you don't want to, but I think a lot of people saw it on Twitter. Mr. B kind of went on a little bit of a rampage after that loss. So,
Sorry, I'm focusing.
oh, okay, all right. I didn't know
thought
if
you
you were telling me to
were telling him to
stop.
stop.
Yeah, I was like, oh, we could go somewhere else.
No. I was just refocusing my camera. I was getting all fuzzy.
Yeah. I saw it a lot, and outside of the Twitter argument, never really heard any perspective on it. And also for people who didn't necessarily, they don't pay attention to Twitter as much. A little bit of background, but I mean, I kind of got to know, like your kind of perspective on the whole thing. Because I feel like that wasn't, coming off a win like that, that's not something I'm really looking at on Twitter as just being like, because you expect, in this kind of environment, this is, qualifying for the biggest tournament there is. Most of these teams are pro teams. A lot of people would say reality TV from how they've been playing recently are kind of in between.
Are you referring to like when we were talking about like he was like accusing us of like taking like the extended timeout and all that shit? Is that like kind of what you're talking about? Like going on
that and I think the Capcan Elite. I think it was both.
Yeah, okay, that's same discussion.
Yeah.
Honestly, like that guy's just a fucking idiot. Kid needs to know his place. He hasn't done shit. He needs to stop acting like he's done shit. Say that first of all. And it's fine to throw around accusations based on shit you know, but in reality you don't know. What happened was if someone didn't vote on like the timeout thing or whatever, it wouldn't work. And we didn't know that. So like the first like time or two, we call timeouts, and I guess someone didn't vote, and it just would stick there in your screen, rid of it, and like this is fucking. You gotta call rehost. And with the Capcan Elite, it was I was just driving my drone around and I saw Capcan Elite, and then he was saying that Lycan said stuff in the server, or like about the Capcans and like he was trying to get around or whatever, and that just wasn't the case. Like Lycan basically literally said like, hey, this guy's got Capcan Elite on. What's the rules for this? They said the rules. The rules were like first offense is a warning. We'll handle it. They paused the game. The observer said, take this off. He left, got off. Game was like didn't try to get around. We didn't protest like, yo, that's bullshit. We should get the round. Blah 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 blah. None of that. And he was just saying that like we did that shit online, and that's just fucking stupid. Just lying.
Yeah, I was gonna say because like on Twitter, it's kind of like that's why I kind of wanted to ask you about it because I mean, I feel like you read the whole thing, and I feel like the only people who actually knew specifically what went on was the parties involved. So I kind of want to get a little bit of that just because, I guess a clearing of the air kind of moment. But
Yeah.
That also to me, that win was like the moment to me where it was like SSG's back. Like you guys were already playing really well, but that like to me, that series, like you guys won against RTV the way that it really should have gone in that first series. And at that moment, like I watched that series and I was like, there's no way these like to that point you guys became like to me like a top 10 team in the world, and one of those where you actually like get in the conversation of being able to win the whole damn thing in February or next month, just because it was like you guys looked so much better. You corrected every single little tiny mistake that you made in that first series, which even then, like that first series easily could have gone your way as well. Because Theme Park, I was watching it, didn't look like RTV was even, winning that map. It was more so like, hero plays were made or some things went wrong. And then just like that second series, you guys looked fantastic. And then just rolled from there. So that's kind of where I wanted to go as well. But we can kind of stop talking about this and then, again, move forward to SI, which I believe groups come out very soon because the last team to get qualified is this weekend.
Yeah.
Right?
I
So
believe so. It's between Navi, Outsiders, which is like the Empire VP,
yeah.
Makers, and Team Secret.
Just to make you guys jealous and all that shit, I actually know the groups, but I can't.
Wow.
Really? So the groups are
Fucking
already
douchebag.
decided, and then you can
Fucking
slotting in the EU call team. Damn.
At least it's
How
a
did
slot.
Was it also
Says EU
random?
qualified
Really?
Was it
I
also
don't know how that-
random, or is it based on like?
I don't know how they do groups. I think it's seeding actually. I think like no,
Seeding would make
Well-
sense.
I don't know how it's done.
That would make
I don't
sense.
I got the
Like
graphic
seeding
in the
from,
morning.
like,
That's all I know. I just
global-
I got a text message. There it was.
Is there any team you're really looking forward to playing at Invite?
No comment. Just because I told you that I know, I can't.
Well, not with
Right,
groups.
yeah.
I just mean in general, like the entire tournament. Like, let's say you make
Sonics.
grand finals. Like, who do you want to play?
Sonics. That'd be the storyline of the fucking century.
Oh yeah.
I
That'd
think
be
it
the best
definitely would
storyline
be.
ever. That'd be literally the best storyline ever. Like gets dropped, meets him in the grand finals.
Whoops their fucking ass.
Oh, yeah, fucking lit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look.
I would
don't
hang that over
remember.
Richie for the rest of his fucking days. He's literally my roommate. Like we have an apartment together. Like if I beat that guy in the grand finals invite, I'd wake up with like a fucking tattoo above my like dick. Champ. Richie sucks or
That'd
some
be
shit.
funny.
Yeah. I also have to say, what are your thoughts? Because I think it's been a real big shuffle, really for the past year. EU has won the last two majors, but like NA was so dominant at the beginning of the year, where it was like, do you think NA kind of stacks up like back on top again? Like, how do you think the regions kind of like stack up against each other going into SI?
I think other regions' playstyles really do been the best ones. I think they're good best of three. But I do think the best of three or best of three just I don't know what about it, but I do think it kind of caters to I just think that the European playstyle and Latam playstyle, depending on the teams, like that hyper aggression, like, whoo, you surprised me, like it really has a fucking effect in best of ones that it doesn't. Like it's a lot easier to just kind of like catch on to that once you've played them,
Yeah.
feel it out a little bit. But like if you go into it dry, bone dry with hunts in it, and these guys are flying at you, it's really hard to like hold on to something and fight back. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just tough. It's just a lot of momentum being thrown at you. It's just like careless. But like you can dial in. You can dial in the best of three. You can adapt between maps. Whereas
I mean,
best of ones is just overly stool.
I mean, like, think about it, right? Like, imagine you're playing a team, you're on like attack, and like they're on a bunker heavy strat, and all of a sudden at the very end, they triple walk up a staircase and fucking flank your ass, and it's a BO1. The next time you attack that site, that thing's always going to be in the back of your mind, right? Like, all right, remember what they did last time? They'll flank. But this round, they decide to just fucking turtle up and sit on site, and you lose because you're like, oh, careful of the flank. Let's hit the back, and they're all
It's
just
just no
fucking
room
sitting
for
on
error.
site. In a BO3, you're able to bring the things from the first map into the next map and into the third map, right? Like, okay, these guys are willing to do X and X play. Let's get ready for this and let's play like this.
Yeah,
So,
best of threes are like, because that's kind of like how Siege is really like that's what like differentiates like I guess specifically top teams from bottom teams is like how well they can adjust, because Siege is such like we said earlier, like there's so many things that can happen, so being able to adjust with that, and like in best of ones you don't really have a lot of time to be able to do that, but in best of threes, it's a lot more of like a chess match, I guess you could say, over a ton of maps, a lot of adjustments to be made. So I feel like that kind of is why best of threes you always see normally the better teams typically win, just because there's more
Better
time
teams
to be able to
always.
adjust.
There's no excuse for a loser. If you lose the best 3, you just lost. Who's quite letting nothing today. But like best of ones, like you can say there can be some shit.
Yeah. I don't have much else besides. I mean, we don't really know much as of right now. Not much we can say about SI until like the field is set, the groups are there. You know, there's still a little bit of time, but like I feel like with all the information we have right now, I mean, I guess we could go with our opinions, I guess, on NA teams. But I mean, that's a whole nother it's a whole nother book to read, you know.
Yeah.
But
That's true.
that's it for
I mean,
me.
Yeah, I mean, me as well. I think somebody dropped a question in the chat for you, Yeti, but I just wanted to save it till the end if I can find it. He was
So
asking,
what does Yeti do after a bad day of scrims?
yep,
Yeah.
what is Yeti
Oh,
to you?
it's
Like,
smoke pot.
imagine you're scrimming like Mirage, and
You
they're
just
on
get
your
shit
fucking
on.
ass.
Just
They're just on your
every
ass.
round, you're just getting cooked.
11-0, 9-3, and,
Well.
and what do you do?
That'd be that if we got shit like that, it'd probably be followed by a rather lengthy debrief, talking about what we did wrong, what could have done better, they changed any strats or that. Then we go outside and I smoke pot, play games. That's it.
Shit.
It's
That's
a scrim, bro.
That's
We're
probably
talking
the
about
most
practice.
you might be the most professional person I've ever asked that question to. Because any T2 player, like all my like CL friends will be like, "Oh my fucking god! Like I'm getting off. Like I'm going to fucking bed. Like
Get on, grind
I mean,
FPL.
that's just the
Get
difference.
back to it.
That's just the difference between a professional and a fucking amateur, I guess.
I mean, every dog has his day. You know, look at stage 3. I just had a fucking balled out. Played this qualifier. I had a pretty consistent qualifier. Got shit on day 2. Got shit on the first map of got shit on day 1. All throughout day 1. Mirage was quite literally the most unfun series I've played. I was getting wall banged all the time. First blooded all the time.
That's why I mentioned Mirage as the team.
And then, day 2, map 1, start slow. Borders, whatever, finish fucking crazy on border, and you just go. You can't quit. You just can't do it. Shit's gonna happen if you have a bad game. You need to focus on being the best teammate you can to help win. Aside from, and there are ways to do it. If you're sitting there dead, thinking about how you died, and just being upset that you died, you're not thinking about plays that you can potentially see on cams or just from player watching, whatever. You can still help your being dead and having your brain still on thinking is a powerful.
100%. It's almost like we said. Who was it? I think fucking Canadian. Like a big thing he does. I think you were mentioning about Mr. B. I forgot to mention Canadian used to do that shit too. Like he would roam on Vigil, go 1 for 1, and be the fucking brain behind the entire operation for the next minute and a half.
Yeah.
And when you're in Pro League, every player should have that capability to be able to control around whether they're alive or dead based on the
100%.
information they get.
100%.
Yeah. I have one last question. It actually just popped right into the dome. Kind of going into that. A lot earlier in your career, I remember when I was really getting into Siege. I remember you on Noble.
Yeah.
And I remember you were just doing so well, but you were never really on a top team. And then after the United thing, you guys all went over to Sonics, minus Alfama, plus Super, and then just basically almost right away, you guys were on a top team or became a top team. And then obviously, you moved from SQ to SSG, basically top team to top team. But I guess kind of my question, is there a big difference between, I guess, preparation or how everything works between, I guess a lower tier T1 team and then, I guess world champions, top T1 teams? Is there a big disparity between the two, or is it kind of just the same? It's just you just win more.
Big differences between lower tier, top tier teams is lower tier teams tend to have check stealing coaches and lesser quality coaches and not as good staff, and then as well as the individuals tend not to be professional. I feel like the winning attitude is something that can't be taught by anyone other than themselves, and it's just if you really want to win and you're with 4 other people that really want to win, and I actually mean really want to win, they don't just say that they feel that they're willing to for that, then yeah, that's the recipe. The hard part's finding that, and at a lower tier team, you say back in the day, you would grind 2 CL. On Noble, we won CL. We went flawless in CL, aside from one game. We lost one game, won everything. Finished first place, win relegations, the drive, the hunger, all that shit was fucking at an all-time high throughout CL. Rampy goes to SSG, we pick up Crazy, and then Crazy was hungry, but I feel like some of the other players that were on the team with us through relegations got complacent and they were just happy to be in the league. There's a difference between the players that want to win the league, players that want to be in the league. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do agree with you. Like, I was always kind of like one of the more like outstanding players on my previous teams, and it was just a matter of just like building up the reputation to keep up with these like other. That shit was hard, tearing me down on the way up.
Yeah.
Hey, dope.
Yeah, it definitely
all
worked
out
out.
in the end.
Yeah.
Actually, not
Certainly-
yet. You're going to invite. Win a fucking
Yeah,
chip. Then
true.
it works out.
I got one chip. I got one regional chip. I gotta
Oh,
give it
true.
national.
That's
Yep.
true.
NAL. Yeah.
That's certainly a glow up from I remember Core Impact.
Yeah,
World Best Gaming.
that was a fucking.
Those were crazy times. Wasn't that still when matches were like 1st to 5?
Yeah.
Oh,
That was a while ago. That was
I mean, that was 2017.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a long
2017.
time ago.
Early 20.
crazy times. Back when
Yeah.
Siege was a war zone.
I've been playing this
Completely
game
different game.
my entire adult life. I've only known Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah.
I've been playing this. This game came out 13 days after 18th day.
Wow.
God,
I
you're
think-
old. I was like 13.
Yeah, I'm 25.
Damn,
yeah.
Joe. That's me.
Sorry. I mean,
I was-
not that way. Not that way. I was just saying.
I think it
Nah,
was.
man,
when did
I'm not
this
offended
game
by it.
come out? I was 15 when this game came out. I think. Damn, it's been
That's-
You're old. Shit.
7 damn years, bro.
Bro, I just turned 18.
We're going on year 8.
Yeah, you were
Jesus.
a toddler. You were still in a crib when this game first came out.
Oh, on Phonum.
But yeah, I think that's it. We'll be back once again next week, I guess, to talk more about, I guess we could wrap up the EU games and then just a look forward to SI, which is so exciting because it's so close. I feel like it's been a long year. Not going to lie.
Yeah.
It's been a very long year. I feel like it's been an eternity since last year's SI. And I don't know. I'm just excited. It's back in Montreal. So
That's my first invitation
Yeah.
to Montreal as a player.
yeah, that's exciting. I mean, the last one that was in Montreal was the big one. That was when Siege became a T1 esport right after that one, the one that SSG won.
Yep, T1 right down to T0.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you were talking about how Invitational is the best food, the best hotels and stuff like that. I was gonna say not the Paris one,
yeah, not the Paris one.
but you
Orange
didn't.
and moldy oranges.
Oh my god, that was
That
crazy.
was so brutal.
All right, that was when Kool-Aid got like fucked over and just had to sit in the hotel. the
Yeah,
whole
luckily
night.
he wasn't playing.
That was fucked.
That was
Anyway, so
unfortunate.
Yeti, appreciate you coming on, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I appreciate
Oh,
you
yeah.
having me.
Great talking.
super nice talking to you. You're always, I mean, obviously, you were actually the first person we thought of.
Really?
Yeah,
you.
straight off the
Yeah, 'cause-
dome. We were waiting because we wanted to pick like someone from a winning team because I think it'd be a lot, better to get someone who's on a winning team than like let's say like someone on Mirage who just got like knocked in the first. Because then
Yep.
also it's kind of hard to talk about SI and stuff when they just lost out
when they're
on
not
their
good.
opportunity.
So I was
to
thinking,
go.
I was thinking like maybe Gasher. Like I could probably get Gasher, like B, and
Yes.
I'm like,
Yeah, we
That's
thought
why
about
I'm getting Raj players now.
yeah, that would have been tough. But
but yeah, man. I mean, I love the energy. It brought a lot to the podcast, so I appreciate it. And good
course.
luck at invite, obviously. Bring
Oh,
home
yeah.
that shit.
I've been an SSG simp for 6 years, so
Hell yeah.
I'll let you guys win it again.
Are you gonna be there?
Unfortunately, no. My fiance and I spent all our money on other vacations, so unfortunately, I will not be there. I
You'll be in
probably
spirit.
won't be at another Siege event until an NA major,
yeah,
if that happens, or next invite.
I mean, at one point it's got to happen. It's got to come back.
It's
here.
inevitable.
Yeah, it'll come back in the U.S. at one point. But
Yeah, that'll
it's
be
good.
Hey, we'll be cheering you on
Yeah.
from my PC. So
yeah,
I
need
appreciate
to see you on the main stage yelling. That energy back.
Oh,
100%. Yeah.
Need to
yeah,
see
let
that.
us know on the Stage,
I
man.
plan on it. I want to be on that fucking stage more than anybody. Let me tell you that much right now. I want to play in front of fans. Last time I played in front of fans was USN 2018.
Good
really?
lord, I almost forgot about USN.
I
Hey.
loved USN.
That was a
gotta bring
great.
USN back.
I miss it.
They got to
Started
bring
the whole
USN
Vegas
back.
kick. Yep.
Hey, shit. Well, hope to see you back on the stage, buddy.
Yep.
Fucking dope.
Most built guy on any Siege stage.
Not anymore. Crying's got me. I haven't been to the gym that much.
That
to be
guy's
honest.
huge.
That's
That guy's huge.
Fun fact.
If I were a girl, bro, never mind.
Yeah, no. I want you to finish that.
So, fun fact. I actually arm wrestled Cryan in Berlin. And Spoit has the video. It'll never see the light of day because Cryan lost. But I fucking won.
Oh.
I won.
You got the
Yep.
title. That's
I got the
crazy.
title. I arm wrestled and I won. I don't
Serious.
know how drunk he was.
I'm mad you missed that. I'm mad you caught yourself on that.
Well, it's whatever, man. You can't get caught lacking this soon. It's only episode 2.
Of course. But episode 3 will come at one point. Thanks everyone for watching, whether it's on YouTube or live on Twitch. Yeti, once again, good luck at Invite, and we'll be back sometime soon. So we'll see you guys hopefully.